Hi guys, my name is Winnie and welcome to the Spin podcast. Welcome to our new segment that we're going to call Quali Reactions, just reacting to the qualifying positions of the drivers on the grid. So we are down under in Australia. I know most of you have been up in the wee hours of the morning trying to catch a session earlier on for FP3 and then for Quali. These early races are always so tricky in the sense that like it's 9 a.m. and we're done with Formula One. Like, that's crazy. Anyway, there's so many big headlines, and everyone has been like, okay, what do you think? What do you think about it? So there's so many headlines coming out of the Australian Grand Prix just before the Grand Prix tomorrow. And the first one, I think we'll just, no, fast before that, and let me first start by saying this would have been the 64th this weekend would have been the 64th birthday of one of the greatest Formula One drivers of all time, Ayrton Senna, Lewis Hamilton's idol and a brilliant driver. This would have been his 64th birthday. It's also like nice to, I think McLaren have been like posting out a lot of remembrance, a lot of just tribute posts to Ayrton Senna. And the last time he won his last Formula One win was with McLaren, and actually at the Australian GP back in 1993. So like that's just something to just spotlight. Happy birthday in heaven, Ayrton Senna. And I mean his legacy continues to live on. And now to the other bigger headline of this weekend. Alex Albon had a moment in the barriers, turn 6, turn 7, and he lost his car, very bad damage. He damaged his chassis. That means Williams had to replace the chassis. Normally that is what would happen in a normal like race weekend. But then now there were news that now I think after that crash, there were news coming out that they do not have a replacement chassis. So first of all, we all know that they didn't have it with them, like in Australia, DHL, the logistics partner for F1, is always at the racetrack. But they're always there. I love the way Formula One works behind the scenes. Like, it's so interesting. Such a smooth running machine. Yeah, it's such a smooth running operation. So DHL, like the logistic partners, like the ones used to ship the parts for F1 cars, but the F1 cars are not like shipped in, I think, fully. They're not like all parts assembled. It's mostly like parts are stripped and then they're transported as different packages. So we all thought, DHL is there, like, yeah, make arrangements or have them go to the Williams factory, pack up the parts, the chassis, bring it to Australia. But no, they do not have it in Australia, and they do not have it back in the factory. I think that was it's a shocking stroke surprising discovery, but I will give an explanation for it. I did do a deep dive research on like why this happened. So now we had that Albon would be replaced. No, Albon. Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, Alexander Albon. And I had like the funniest introduction to his birthday. So today is Alexander Albon's birthday, and for a present he gets Logan Sargeant's car. The thing is, I know everyone is like, oh yeah, it's not fair. There's nothing fair in F1. Like, this is Formula One. There's nothing that is fair. There's nothing that's been fair, guys. Never. So now after the damage sustained by Alexander Albon after his accident, so now Williams have decided to give the chassis, the Logan's car, essentially to Alexander Albon. Of course, they're going to change a few things. For example, after that crash, Alexander Albon had to change his power unit and gearbox. They're different. Like, those are some of the components that a driver, like during a season, there are some number of those components. Like, there's some that are located. There's a specified numbers for how much you need to change, and like up to a certain point then you start receiving penalties. Like, you now get penalized for going over the set number of components. So of course there are different things that are going to go to his, I think their cars, I mean it's teammates, so I don't think essentially so many things will change apart from, like, for example, of course, I read the gas brake pedals, yeah. So I think the driver's preferred setup, of course, the seat, I think, yeah, the seat that's like fitted to Alexander Albon, and of course the gearbox and the power unit, and some other things that are very driver specific, like the setup that is driver specific. So now let's go into why maybe. Okay, this is my take. First of all, James Valls, then the team principal, has been very transparent, and I love that he says, I am what you see in social media is what you'll get, like, behind the scenes. That's him, and he's been transparent. He came out and said, yeah, we saw we have like an elite. That's what, in his words, an elite athlete, like that's in Alexander Albon. I mean, Alexander has scored the 27 of the 28 points for Williams, and it only made sense. Like, it's such a good move, business, like on a business point of view, and also on a team dynamic kind of view, in the sense that, like, Alexander Albon there's more the probability of him scoring points, and this is Australia, so the race is chaotic, and there's so many chances of people DNFing, safety cars, red flags. So that means there's a good chance to score points. And Williams need to score these points. They are yet to score points, but I think they are top of the non-scorers by virtue of Alexander Albon finishing ahead of the other drivers. So in that sense, they are rallying around Alexander Albon to make use of that car and score points for Williams this weekend. It's unfortunate for Logan, and he said this is like the most difficult point for him in his career, and understandably so. But the thing is, that's also like a very good big show of teamwork on Sargeant's side, because the team needs to work as a unit as well. So it's pretty, on the face value, it's pretty unfair. Like, yeah, someone crashed their car, they should not get to take part in the rest of the weekend. They crashed their car. Logan Sargeant didn't crash his car, let him drive. But then now you have to maximize. Like, here, Formula One this season is very tight. Like, okay, apart from the top, like the midfield is very packed. Like, it's very packed. Every point, scoring it very early on. I think at the end of the year we will come back and we'll be like, every like position in the constructors will be like maybe separated by very few points, like 2 points, 1 point, and now it's just nice to maximize your package every weekend. So now talking about Williams, why don't they have like a chassis like with them, or like back at their factory? So in a recent interview that James Valls and the chief technical officer of Williams, Pat Fry, they gave an interview to the race, and they said, the structure at Williams, when they came, they found that, they were still working with outdated methods. Like, for example, they track their car development. They used to, apparently, like, they were tracking car development using an Excel spreadsheet. I mean, we all love like a good spreadsheet, right? We all love Excel. Like, I love Excel. But like, you're telling me I can track car development, a Formula One car? It's the pinnacle of motorsport. Like, you're thinking here, it's crazy technology. You have good digital solutions. You mean you're tracking car development on a spreadsheet? Like, that was also like a crazy discovery for me as well. Like, what do you mean? And the fact that, a Formula One car is not just, when you take, for example, let's talk about the front wing. It's a lot of parts that go into making this front wing. It's just not like one part. It's like 1,000 components that even make up the whole car. Now imagine tracking that on a spreadsheet, like for the whole like organization, and Williams has over like 1,000 employees. Like, you're asking people, oh, have we bought this? When you're trying to, like, for example, and the chassis, by the way, is just basically where the engine and the suspension is placed. Like, it's basically like the skeleton of the car. So it's very like, it's a very important part of the car. I mean, I don't even think there's a car without a chassis. So it's a very important part, and for them not to have like a replacement, like, that was very telling and shocking. But also, like, in the era of, when you're not being very efficient, for example, tracking everything on a spreadsheet, on an Excel spreadsheet, like, that's crazy. Like how do you ensure you're making sure that the people who are like ordering for this part, it's available, it's it's paid for, it's not an efficient way, and especially in this era of cost cap, where like there's a budget cap like that was supposed to apparently make it easier for smaller teams. But then you see, if you don't have efficient systems, then the budget even becomes more constraining. So that is why I think for them it made sense to try to maximize the package they have this weekend. Unfortunate, but like that's I feel like this is another like episode we should do on like let's see, like what do we think are like some of the systems that F1 teams use to ensure they're efficient or not. So that's my take on the Alexander Albon and Logan Sargeant situation at Williams. Like, it's not fair, but nothing in F1 is really fair. They're trying to maximize their, and we can take that. Unfortunate for Logan Sargeant, but a very great show of teamwork. So I'm also thinking of going into something interesting where we'll be doing this every week, or at least every weekend, be it the race debrief or like this Quali Show. So I love bees, and so does Sebastian Vettel, and so should all of us. Like, bees are such an essential part of our ecosystem, and also ensuring the survival of the human race or whatever. So I'm going to introduce a section where we say there's a sting, bee, and a honey. So the sting will be, oh, that's like an ouch moment of the weekend. Honey is like a sweet moment coming from the weekend, and bee is like what's the main moment, so that one maybe might wait to happen after the race or something. So the sting for this weekend was, of course, Alexander Albon getting Logan Sargeant's car for his birthday. Sting, but like, yeah. And then I think for me, the honey for this weekend has to be Fred Vasseur. Fred Vasseur is a hilarious team principal. He is Ferrari's team principal, and he is mad hilarious. So I saw him, there's a clip, I think he'll play here, him signing the back of Liam Lawson. Like, he's so chaotic. I love it. Like, this clip is going to be in my Roman Empire for a minute. Like, I'm going to think about it, because Fred Vasseur is, he's a brilliant human being, very cheeky Frenchman. But I can't wait to see how Lewis does in Ferrari under Fred Vasseur. Now let's talk quali. I think we've talked so many things, guys. The biggest headline coming from qualifying in Australia: Lewis Hamilton out in Q2. Like, I think Mercedes had a very rough start to the weekend. Like, oh my God, FP2 was like, that's where I was like, oh my God. Lewis was just ahead of one of the Haas, and of course Alexander Albon, who was already like out. He finished P18. That was like, FP1 was very nice, promising. And then FP2, apparently they changed a few things. I don't know why they experiment. The thing is, people are saying, oh my God, Lewis no, he's not getting old. It's not a Lewis problem. No. It's a car, guys, because now even Toto came out and said they had like a pre-planned experimental thing. I just feel like it's 2 seasons in. It's the 3rd season. They have not understood the regulations, the ground effects regulations, the rules. They're not hacking it. And then them trying to experiment all this on Lewis Hamilton's car, like, it's not giving. Like, how do you come? This car is also moody AF. Like, what do you mean you're good one session, the next you're like, I'm not working? But of course that one they changed. In FP2 they said they had like a different setup change, and I was like, no, this is not really okay. I feel like they're messing. This thing can mess your mind. They're messing with the mentality of the drivers, and especially of Lewis Hamilton. Me, I'm never going to do that. I say whatever you say, guys, about Lewis Hamilton. He's not washed. He is not. I still trust in him. Like, I support Lewis Hamilton always, like 100%. Like, no, it's the car. And there is proof it is a car. FP3, like, the car, they seemed like they hooked it. They found the sweet spot for this car. This car does not like being, I don't know, it's such a moody car. I think, is it the evil twin? Is it the evil sister of the other W13, W14? Oh my God. It's just getting harder every day. So now going into, qualifying, Lewis, was it P11? Yeah, P11? Yeah. And George was just ahead, just 600ths. Like, that's 0.059 seconds. He also just barely got out of Q2 as well. So this is just, you cannot say it's a problem. George, but very good. George is very consistent. This car seems to, it's a good thing they're not running their experimental things on his setup. Like, good for him. And he's trying to actually just make the best use out of it. This car and Lewis Hamilton are not working in harmony, and I also need them to stop experimenting. Like, can they just, but also this car is very moody. That's a biggest headline, but also not a very like big shocker. The other big thing for me from Quali, oh my god, guys, Yuki. Yuki is just proving day in, day out he deserves to go to Red Bull. Yuki outqualified Daniel Ricciardo for, I don't know, so many times he's done it. Yuki made it into Q3, and also I think he's ahead. He's, I think, P8. Yeah, he's starting very high up. Ricciardo says there's something that's not adding up with his car. Unfortunate for him, it's his home race. Yuki, I'm hoping he has I hope Red Bull Racing, they're called that, Visa Cash App, that team, they give Yuki a good strategy and they don't fuck him over. Next, McLaren's. Piastri is on fire. I mean, of course, I think Lando, of course, outqualified him, but Piastri is onto something. This is his home race. He's a fan favorite. You can see he's, everyone in their yellow papaya, not yellow, in their papaya hats. Very cute. Everyone is supporting the fan favorite, Oscar Piastri. We are rooting for him. I love Piastri. He's so funny. I adore him. Lando also a very good love for McLaren. It's looking very good for McLaren. Aston Martin looked very, there's something, they just didn't hook up for the right, good, correct laps, but they're like P10, P9, so that's good. Stroll, Alonso, something, yeah. So yeah, let's hope they also have like a good weekend. But Yuki, the only sole driver, like I think in Q3. Charles Leclerc really, Ferrari just deliver when they when it matters most. They do not deliver. Like, I really was rooting for them to take pole. They seemed very hooked up, like during even the different qualifying sessions, Q1, Q2. They looked very nice. They looked very competitive. They looked like they had the car for this job this weekend. But then, of course, Sainz are, oh my god, like Sainz, what? Didn't you just have surgery? And he also says he doesn't feel like 100%. And like, that's impressive work for him. He came, he's been quick this whole weekend. He means business. He's taking no prisoners. He's driving like he needs a job, and he does need a seat for next year though. But like, he is taking no prisoners. He's like delivering. He's hooking up his car, chasing, to the absolute limit. So I love that for Ferrari. But then also disappointed that Charles Leclerc, I think, aborted his, like, the last run in Q3. I really thought one of the Ferraris would take pole. But Max Verstappen, guys, is undefeatable. He is undefeated. Who is going to offset the trajectory, the streak of this man? He's going to win all the races. Like, and honestly, props to him. You can have a fast car, but you have to hook it right as well. Like, he is hooking the car right. He's placing it. He's putting in the times that need to be put up. But also, like, I noticed from like the team radios, this is just like gossip, guys. So from the team radios, I think Honda was trying to be like sassy, but Max kind of ignored it. Maybe that's propaganda, but it just doesn't seem like there's everything that's, everything is cooking well at Red Bull. Anyway, another story for like another day, but like, that's something I noticed as well. So props to him for pole. He has pole in Australia. No one has, Max has gone undefeated for so long. In fact, no one has, I read a stat, I think Carlos is the only person who's outqualified Max in Australia. Like, all through the years, all his teammates, he's never been outqualified apart from Carlos Sainz, who's actually was giving him a run for his money for pole during this 2024 Australian Grand Prix. A good effort from Perez. Perez is just doing the best he can with his car. He keeps on saying, this year he tries to make the things work for him, trying to control the things that he can control. He's doing a great job, like, the best he can. So great for Perez. So tomorrow's race, I'm pumped for it. Mercedes, it's looking hard. It's even looking harder, very, very, very hard. But like, we have to keep on, keeping the hope alive. But yeah, Toto has just like a clear job cut out for him. And I think it's just not good to oversimplify, like, when you say car development, or like, getting the whole chassis component and the aerodynamic component to work by chassis, I mean like the whole mechanical aspect of the car and the aerodynamic aspect of the car to actually work in harmony. And for you to have like a fast car, it's a lot. There's a lot of work that go, and I can imagine Mercedes, they don't want to be slow, so I can imagine they're trying to work as well, like behind the scenes and whatever. So we'll extend some grace, but like, can we just stop with experimenting? That let's like, okay, this works, let's stick to it. So they already committed to a design at least this year, so we're not trying to think out of the box. But yeah, Adrian knew it really was in his bag when he made with this ground effect like rule set, because Red Bull have got it right and they continue to get it right. Ferrari look competitive, I think, also on race pace for tomorrow, so that's an exciting race to look forward to. That's all from me today. I'll see you after the Australian Grand Prix for the race debrief. Bye.